In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why social media beats all other cold outreach methods when it comes to scaling your go high level agency. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, share the resource that we're going to be reviewing. As always, if you want access to this document, all you have to do is hit me up on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, I think Twitter, TikTok, all at Alec J. Roy, and I will go ahead and send you over this document. I'm not going to ask for your email. I'm not going to ask for your phone number. I'm not going to ask for you to sacrifice your firstborn child. It's very painless. I'll just basically give you the document if you ask for it. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. And what we're going to do to start is we're actually going to rewind the clock back to March 15th, 2022, when COVID hit, because I need to share with you how COVID changed the online business space forever, essentially crippling those traditional methods of cold outreach that you are probably trying to use to scale your agency. Now, it's no secret that when COVID hit, everyone started working from home, right? Tons of people lost their jobs and they started trying to learn how to make money from home. Usually that meant how to make money online. And you can see this Google Trend screenshot here, March 15th, 21 to the end of 2022. And you can see that there's not only an elevated search in terms of how to make money online from home, but there's also a positive traction, meaning it basically did not stop gaining traction for over a year and a half. Now, when this happened, these new entrepreneurs who now had time and money because there were buffed unemployment checks, the process to get into unemployment was completely lowered or made easier. There's like no barrier to entry, and they even dropped not one but two stimulus checks. So these entrepreneurs, or these new ones rather, basically started aggressively researching and scaling their businesses using the cold outreach models at the time that were so popular, right? Cold calling, cold emailing, and running ads, right? Just the core classics, the old reliables, if you will. And they were learning from people who were teaching this on YouTube. So essentially, there's this massive influx of entrepreneurs basically using these three models. And when that happened, it basically crippled those three models because the supply of people basically came in very aggressively. They're all regurgitating the same lines because they're all getting their scripts and their leads from the same places. And it basically crumbled those three outreach models. Furthermore, because there were so many newbies, a lot of them didn't really know how to fulfill because their affiliate, or rather scam affiliate coaches, didn't really tell them how to do that. And so because not only they were using these old outreach models, but they were also having an inability to fulfill, a lot of these prospects basically got a sour taste in their mouth when it came to anybody outreaching on these models, using the same models or scripts that they were using and promising the same things that they were promised when they got burnt. So let's go ahead and jump into the three models. And then of course, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the new model and how you can actually use it in your business starting today. Now let's look at cold calling. Cold calling sucks. Now, let me stop myself very quickly and say, if you have scaled your business, or if you're scaling your business using cold calling, congratulations, okay? Keep it up. You're an exception to the rule. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the average Jill or average Joe that is trying to scale their business from the ground up, and they do not have time to do cold calling. They're not professional cold callers. If that's you, great. If that's not you, which is most people who cannot do cold calling accurately, this is why it sucks, right? Number one, low response rates. So you're probably going to get less than 1% of people answering the phone. And when they do answer the phone, let's say it's higher than 1%, you're not going to really convert more than 1% of people to another meeting. Again, if you're a professional, congratulations. For the average person, this is not going to happen. Number two, when you're cold calling somebody, you're going to have a negative association tied with you directly, which means your first impression is a bad one because you are calling a number that people use for business, and you're saying, hey, not only am I not potentially going to give you money, but I want to potentially take some money from you, right? Number three, you're going to hit gatekeepers, people, entry-level positions, secretaries, assistants, people who are told specifically, do not send these people to me. Do just get them off the line, right? And again, they're waiting to deal with leads, or they're waiting to deal with their typical job requirements, and you're over here interrupting their day. Number four, one of my personal favorites, do not call registries. If you find a number, whether you scraped it or just found it online, and you don't double check it with a DNC registry and you call them, you're going to get hit with a pretty hefty fine. I think the average fine that I've seen is between $1,500 and $5,000. So imagine you're already trying to join high level or start your own agency. You have very little money to spare, and then you get hit with a fine that big. It's not going to be a fun day, trust me. Now, my absolute personal favorite is the time consumption. If you are doing phone calls and you know that maybe 1%, as we see up here, are going to convert, and you're trying to dial at least 100 people to get to that 1%, that one client who might schedule another meeting and might close with you, what's going to happen is you're going to be calling for anywhere between 100 to 500 minutes a day, depending on how long the calls are, if you listen to voicemails and leave a voicemail, if there's time in between, if you're just a machine, you never have to use the bathroom or get water, right? You're looking at spending a majority of your day cold calling all day long. Now, if you have that time, great, but again, I'm going to show you a much more time effective and efficient model. And then there's always a lack of personalization. You call them, maybe they answer. If they do answer, then you have to go into a script, and the script is very cold. Even if you build in things like, hey, I knew this was a cold call, so if you want to hang up, go ahead. Okay, cool, you stayed on. Let me make my pitch in 30 seconds, right? There's really just no personalization that goes into it. Basically, long story short, cold calling leads or tends to irritate prospects, foster negative associations and first impressions, waste your reps' times, and if you have those reps, then you're spending money to waste their time because they're probably not converting as high as they could, and it has extraordinarily low conversion rates. So there's going to be more targeted outreach strategies that I'm going to share with you that are going to just simply outperform blind cold calling. Well, what about cold emailing? Well, cold emailing sucks too. Why? Low conversion rate. You're going to have a low conversion rate. You're going to have response rates of less than 5%. If you haven't dialed in your message, which as a beginner, you probably haven't dialed in your message yet, you're going to hit spam filters. Even if you have a dedicated domain, a lot of people have their email set up to where if they get an email from someone who is not at the same company, so if it's not at SASO Funnels, like my company, and it doesn't match their organization, then the email's just not going to go in. If you add a link or an attachment, good luck, even a lower chance of it opening. But again, let's say maybe you find an inbox where your emails get in. Cool. Well, here's the issue. Two things. Number one, your messaging is going to be really irrelevant because it's a cold email blast. And number two, if you found that inbox, do you think you're the only person who found that inbox? No. So these two kind of go hand in hand, the irrelevant messaging and the inbox overload, because most people scrape the same leads as everybody else, right? You're not the only person using L7 leads or Gorilla leads or whatever email scraper. You're not the only person using that. And number two, do you think you're the only person using the email scripts that are all over the internet? No. Sorry, you're not. So you're just regurgitating the same messages to the same inboxes that already don't want anything. Or maybe they've hired somebody and been burnt before, so they definitely don't want to talk to you, right? And then again, the lack of personalization because you're sending out these generic templates, just like when you were cold calling, that really just have no, this is not resonating with the client or resonating with the prospect, right? And then with email, there's no ongoing nurturing. So you have no idea where they are in the process of potentially wanting to buy. And for you to nurture them, it's going to cost you money, right? Every time you send a cold email, it's going to cost you maybe fractions of a penny, but those things add up, all to test while wasting money, right? What about running ads? What about running ads, right? Making content. Well, here's the issue with running ads. Now, running ads as a beginner sucks, okay? Just completely sucks. This is the number one thing that I've seen that burns out agencies, hands down. Number one, lack of clarity on goals. Beginners often run ads without clear, measurable goals like lead gen, sales, impressions, CTR, hook rate, relevancy rate, all these things, right? This makes it impossible for them to determine what's working and what's not working. So you need to define concrete goals first, and you need to understand what metrics are key that essentially translate into a potential lead or a definite lead, right? What about failure to meet target audience? If you cast too wide a net with untargeted ads, it will result in irrelevant reach and extremely low conversion rates. So you have to take time to accurately profile and target your audience. This only occurs through trial and error. So when you are trying and failing, which is a very normal part of business, okay, I do it too every single day, but when you are trying and failing with your outreach and your targeting, you are spending money to do that. When I do it using social, I do it for free. It costs me nothing. There's no testing and optimization. So because beginners usually rarely have an iterative approach to test multiple ad variations, and because their budget is too small to allow for that, they have no idea how to actually test and refine, meaning they're not only spending money, but they're wasting time spending money and getting no influx of cash. And then, of course, there's wasted spend. This is definitely what happened to me. It's very easy to kind of blow through your advertising budget by running campaigns. You think, well, maybe if I put more money into it, it'll work, right? It's basically like a slot machine. Like you're basically like, what if I'll gamble and I'll keep making money. Let me just keep pulling the slot machine down. Well, the next one will get it. No, it's just wasted spend. Ignoring negative signals. I see this all the time too. People are like, no, I just have to keep my head down and keep wasting money on ads. It'll work. No, it's not going to work. They optimize to get these really cheap leads in the door because they're like, oh, well, it's cheap, so I have a high ROI. No, they're cheap, so you're not going to convert them. They're gonna quit. They're not going to follow your process. Cheap leads are cheap leads, and they waste a lot of time and money. And then what ends up happening, I know this happened to me for a fact, they get discouraged, or you will get discouraged way too soon, because media buying is a complex skill that requires persistence and patience to master. And it's not even so much the technical side of like setting up the pixels and understanding the metrics. It's not even that. It's really more so like understanding the messaging and the creatives that are actually going to resonate with the individuals that you're trying to reach. So effectively reaching the right customer at scale via paid advertising, it requires skill. It requires strategy and analysis rather than just shooting in the dark. So everybody will tell you, set it up, run ads, right? That's the whole drop shipping model. Doesn't work. Ads do work extremely well on two conditions. Number one, if you know what you're doing. And number two, if you have validated your claims and creatives. Otherwise, at best, you're gambling. Realistically, you're just flushing money down the toilet. And so I want to very quickly preface the next section where I'm actually going to show you how to use social media. But I want to very quickly preface how to understand if your affiliate coach is a scam affiliate. So if you're like, maybe not, I'm going to show with you very quickly, okay? So from 2016 to 2019, and maybe you could even argue 2020, even a little bit now, but we saw all of these like coaches dropping these courses, and they're basically just regurgitated garbage, right? But then in 2020, this new scam starts evolving, right? And I call it the scam affiliates. So these are essentially failed business owners, and they started promising gold with the sale of a shovel, because they themselves couldn't find the gold. This is a gold rush of 1948, 1949 reference, right? These people went out, they were looking for gold, they couldn't find it, but if they said, oh, well, I'll sell you a shovel, and with the shovel you'll find gold, guess who made more money? The people looking for gold or the people selling the tools to find the gold? The shovel salesman, right? So this is the same situation. They're saying, hey, I can't scale my own SaaS business. I can't scale my own SWAS business. I can't scale my own GHL agency, but I'll show you how to do it, and you just sign up using my affiliate link, right? So what ends up happening is that these, again, like I said, failed business owners start promising things that they themselves have never achieved. And if you want proof, just ask them about the business model that they promote and if they use it. And the answer is almost always, not always, but almost always the same. Non-existent. There's no business. They don't know how to do it. Now, again, I'm not saying that I'm the only person who can teach you. By no means am I the only person that can teach you or can help you. There's several people out there who can help you. I just want to make sure that whether you work with me or somebody else, make sure that they are not a scam affiliate, right? My personal favorite, this is how I actually caught on to this. I saw a lot of people using these fake testimonials and stock images. So I would reverse search the stock images and I would see what appeared. And it was almost always the same. It wasn't a real client. It was like stock images off of Google, right? It'd be like professional businesswoman. So you can always do that, right? And the final straw that exposes these scam affiliates is the marketing model that they promote. It's pure and utter nonsense that reveals their complete lack of experience. So what they're going to do is they're going to tell you cold call, cold email, run ads. My personal favorite I saw, I kid you not, a very well-known affiliate coach said, hey, go solicit in person. What? You're going to get hit with fines that way too. There's so many stores that say do not solicit. It is the worst thing you could do. It is the stupidest thing that you could possibly do. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your affiliate coach through the scam affiliate test, and I want you to put me through it, okay, to see if I'm faking. I'm not, but if I am, see if I'm faking, call me out on it. So check for the testimonials, see if they're running their own business, right? I have all this up on sasofunnels.com. Hopefully your affiliate coach does too. If not, I'd definitely run. So what do we do instead of these models that don't work that these scam affiliates are promoting? We're going to use social media because social media is king, and I want to show you how to use it. So do you know why social media is the best for outreach? Because when you're out doing outreach, people can click on your profile and they can see all of your content that proves you know what you're doing and you do it well. So it has social proof built into it. After all, it's called social media, right? And the social proof could be followers, likes, engagements, content of you talking to the camera, not just a logo and like stock images. No, it's you engaging with your audience directly using what I like to call THC. I'll get into it in a second, but it's talking head content, not the THC that you guys are probably thinking of, right? Plus, with social media, you can get them to follow you even if they deny your offer. So let's say you're doing outreach and they don't want your offer. You can push them to follow your channel and say, hey, I can make content for you if you're in a specific problem or a specific place. And now you're able to retarget them using your posts and your stories for 100% free. You can't do that with cold calling because it takes too much time. You can't do it with cold email because it costs money. You can do it with ads, but again, it costs money. And again, if we look at something like SMS, which is texting, and cold calling, they provide no way for people to see you. We can even say SMS, we can even add in here cold emailing, right? And cold calling, if I could type. They provide no way for people to see you. They don't have no idea if you're the real deal or not because it's just text. There's no person, there's no nothing, right? And don't get me started on running ads on a social media profile that has zero engagement. So let's say you just throw up a profile and you start running ads. You will get trashed in your own comments. I've seen it so many times. It's always so painful to be like, oh yeah, fake account, spam, blah, blah, blah. Again, if you don't believe me on any of these, go ahead and go try it. Let me know how it goes, right? Let me know your client acquisition cost. Let me know your ROI, and we'll compare numbers, you versus, or that model, old model versus the new model, right? And see how it goes, right? But long story short, social media allows you to create content that hundreds, if not thousands, can view at once, at their own pace, and as often as they want without costing you a penny, without costing them a penny. Now let's look into the only 4 content types that you need to use. Now we understand, or now that we understand that we need to use social media, we need to create content that will convert audiences. But before you ask, no, we're not making content to go viral. Your goal is not to go viral. Your goal is to attract an audience that will want to buy from you. So we don't want followers, we want quality followers. And so let's break down some simple math, right? 1 million followers at a 0% conversion rate is $0. We see this all the time with influencers. They have a massive following, they have no pitch, and so what do? They always try to drop merch on this really crappy Shopify store. Usually it'll sell out, but that's all they know how to drop. They have no real way of providing any value. They have no real way of actually monetizing the audience in a way that can sustain them besides views and, of course, the merch drop that nobody actually wants to buy into. Not to mention, how difficult is it to get 1 million followers, right? That's not a really simple, feasible task. If somebody's telling you it is, another red flag from another scam affiliate. But what if we look at more realistic numbers? What if we look at 3,000 followers with a 20% conversion rate? Well, now we're looking at about 58,200 a month. That's pretty impressive numbers, right? But let's say 3,000 is too high because I don't want to tell you you can go out and get 3,000 followers I want to buy from you immediately. Let's go lower. Let's say 300 followers. At a 20% conversion rate, you're looking at 58.20 a month. That is enough to replace, double, or at least very healthily supplement your income, right? And so to take advantage of this concept, we have to understand the content structure that is actually going to convert these individuals. So here it is, right? This is what I do. This is the structure. If you want to take a screenshot, again, if you want the document, just hit me up. And also, if it's not too much trouble, go ahead and like and subscribe. That way you're going to get this content more frequently. You can get this before other people can get it, so you can try to implement these methods before other people do. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But again, if you want this document, just hit me up on socials. So what you do is you start right here with a VSL, a video sales letter that goes on YouTube, okay? Then you put the YouTube video link in your bio, and then in the YouTube video description, you're going to put the link to your offer, right? The calendar, the offer, whatever it is, right? Then what you're going to do is you want to promote the YouTube video. So you're going to create short form content on these platforms, and you can do Pinterest, you can do Snapchat, but these are the 4 that I like, the core 4, so to speak. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create micro VSLs, or basically like previews of the main VSL, and you're going to create problem agitating content. So no tips and tricks. You want to create problem agitating content. So you want to agitate the problem, frame yourself as a solution, old way, bad and negative impacts, new way, good and benefits, and then the call to action. And that should push them to the YouTube. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use the stories and the DMs to drive traffic to the content, to the VSL, to the form. And if you're like, well, this is a lot of steps, the whole point is that there's multiple touch points. There's a 7-hour rule. They're getting indoctrinated into your models, and they view you as an expert. But again, we're not relying on the algorithm. We need to drive traffic. So we're not going to sit here and say, hey, somebody started twerking. I need you to start twerking because that went viral. Hey, somebody did this trend. I need you to do the same trend to go viral. No. It's going to be really hard to establish yourself as a professional or as an expert when you're doing these childlike trends to try to go viral. And again, we're not trying to go viral because we want eyeballs on the business that will actually pay us. We don't want eyeballs that just like seeing us do some kind of funny trend, right? Because it's a lawyer doing the worm, okay? So we don't rely on the algorithm because the odds of you going viral are slim to none. Instead, we need to engage in groups and in DMs where we can drive people to our content instead of our funnel. So I'm not saying go in these groups and DMs and spam your offer. I'm saying create these relationships where you push them to the content that then, again, you can see here, allowing the content to do the heavy lifting. So you're pushing to the content that does the heavy lifting for you, and without hindering yourselves by trying to push them straight into your offer. Because what do you think is easier? Do you think it's easier to close someone in the first interaction, or do you think it's easier to push them to content that solves the problem for them that you've already created, that they can view when they want, how often they want, at whatever pace they want, and it makes a pitch for them, just like I'm going to do right now. I'm going to show you in just a moment how I'm going to try to push you into SASO University. Now, I can tell you from my experience and from my client's experience, push to the content, let it do the heavy lifting, and then what happens is that your focus becomes on growing your social, not using the algorithm, but the way I've shown you, versus pushing to an offer with zero pre-established relationship, zero touch points, with a negative impression or first impression because you use one of these outdated methods over here, right? So what are the next steps? Well, the next steps are you can do this alone. You can 100% do this alone. You can try to go at your own pace because you absolutely refuse to pay for help because for whatever reason you view help as weak, which is, again, going to be extremely challenging. And don't worry, I was the exact same way. Or you can just work with me. Now, if you work with me, you're going to get these results much faster and much quicker than if you were to do it alone. You're going to get case studies faster, which we talk about how to integrate those into your social media. You're going to get higher quality case studies, which means you're going to attract higher quality leads. You're going to get exact script frameworks for your social media content, DMs, and sales calls, so that way everything is going to close and convert much easier. And you're going to be able to create a protocol that allows you to not only scale up, but also retain your previous customers, so you're really maximizing that MRR, that monthly recurring revenue business model. So if you want to join SASO University, there's a link on this document if you want to ask for it. There's also going to be a link in the description. And if you just want this document, or if you just want to set up a call, you can hit me up on socials. But if you have any questions at all, go ahead and subscribe and then ask your questions below. I'll answer every single one of them with content. Thanks and have a good day.